What up, guys? We are back. Your black host, and then,
Every freaking time.
well, obviously, it's not gonna change. I can't get any
So
lighter. I'm pretty dark skinned. You know what I'm
there's
saying?
just no need to even say it.
Well, it is a need. But here's the thing. I'm your black host. That's your white host, Thomas. I'm Jacoby, and we are coming here today with two new guests. Or actually, I'm sorry, spoke too soon. One new guest and one returning guest. And Thomas has something to say because we have a couple of topics that we're going to hit on with our new guest that I think is going to be really good and is going to be very insightful and a great conversation to have. So if you guys are new to the channel, new to this live, stick around or you're going to miss out. That's all I got to say. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah. So yeah, like what Jacoby said, hey, we would appreciate you coming here. Another day, another dollar, another day, zero arrests. This is fantastic. But look, we're all here on the Common Ground show, and our main goal is to find common ground. Period. We're all Americans. We all inhabit this rock. Let's find some common ground. Let's get along. I don't care what it's about. If you want to be on the show, let's get on the show. Let's have a conversation. That's what we want to do. And so, saying that, let's get this going. So, um, a lot has happened. You know, we have to understand that there is a level of evil that is in this world that does not operate how we operate. They're in the shadows. They're on the top of everything, usually, because they're the multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, and they just operate in a world that we do not operate in. They're in the dungeons, and we are here on the ground level just trying to make a good living, support our families, love our friends, and shoot, just have a good life and live in a good understanding with each other. We have to recognize that there are people that do not care. They care about one thing and one thing only, and that is their own pleasure, that is their own play, and they will step over, mutilate, destroy, harass anyone and everyone for their pleasure. And for us to sit by and to act like this doesn't occur, proverbially just stick our freaking heads in the sand, we have to stop. We all sit here and we all look at what's happening in the Epstein files and we're shocked. We're shocked. Point blank. I challenge us to not be shocked. I challenge us to say about time. About time it comes to light. I challenge us to say about time we can see the evil for what it is. I challenge us to hold these people accountable. My question is, how do we do that? It's about voting. It is by voting that is the great equalizer in this country. And we're going to talk about voting. Does it matter? Does your vote actually matter? I think it does. And I hope by the end of this, if you're one of those that questions you need to vote, I hope that you get a little bit closer to the idea of, yeah, I think I can vote. We have to understand these people are not kings. These people are not queens. They are literally in Congress. They're literally in the Senate. They're literally in these positions for one reason only, and that is to represent you and to represent me, period. Point blank. You can't get 330 million people in Washington, D.C. to make a freaking decision. No, what you have to do is you send in a representative up there to represent you, period. Point blank. So we have to stay vigilant at holding them to the standard of the Constitution and holding them to the standard of the rule of law and holding them to the standard of just freaking basic morality. Because, like, we're recognizing no one up there has any morality, period, is what it feels like. What it actually feels like is that they walk around and they say, oh, hey, we're going to do these things and we're going to hold people accountable and we're going to rein in spending and we're going to do this, that, and another. And then they go up to Congress and the first thing they do is meet with some representative from the deep state. And they say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Representative, here's your rap sheet of things that if you don't play ball with us, we're going to release to the public and you might go to jail and or you might just get, lose your seat, and all the power that you think you're going to have. And so now instead of them representing you and I, they're representing whoever the frick the deep state is at the time. And so all that to say, This is what we're going to talk about tonight. Epstein, voting, Christianity and voting, morality and voting. What does it freaking matter? That being said, Jacoby, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start by introducing our guests. We got our boy Rodney. We used to work with Rodney, and we got our boy Dustin back on the live. And yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it off. Rodney, if you want to introduce yourself in your own format.
Oh,
We don't want to
yeah.
do any ad placements. We'll talk about ad
Oh my
placements,
gosh.
but you know what I mean
Nah,
by
you
that.
good. Yeah. I know what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
just Rodney Watson, the guys. I went to school for finance and economics. I'm a veteran. Was in the Air Force. I've worked two trades. I would say I got a lot of life experience. Pretty educated, and I kind of make it my point to be well versed in many things, not just my line of work and stuff. So, I would consider myself pretty well rounded. Not married, no kids, 38, but not the typical guy, but whatever.
Bro, I thought you were in your 40s.
Man,
I,
what
I'm
for real?
just wise like that, man. It just seemed like that.
I knew Rodney was young, but nah, man, Rodney doing a lot of great things. Rodney is an example of I would consider a very successful black man, African American man. So that's what I would say. But what you about to say?
Oh, nothing. I was
Oh,
just, I was just appreciate the compliment.
oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Thomas, here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing we got, because the biggest thing I don't know how much knowledge people have on Epstein files, but the Epstein files have been released for what 2 weeks now? The full.
I mean, they've been slow rolled. I mean, there's still, I think, millions of files out there that have not even been released yet, which is
Well, we
just.
already got 3 million.
We got 3.5 million last week, wasn't it? And we had
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of them, I think, sometime last year.
Yeah. So with these Epstein files, what's revealing is I don't know if you know this, Rodney, but especially in the hip hop industry, we like I don't know, like in the hood and stuff like that. Like we talked about Illuminati, and we was like, these sacrifices and all this type of stuff, and then people throwing up like the signs, like hoes, throwing up the
Yeah.
signs and stuff like that, right? Well, these Epstein files reveal that this stuff was real. Like, and these people have literally some of our favorite celebrity artists have participated in a child sacrifice, and they, I don't know what
Is
I
that
can
what it
say
really
on
said though?
YouTube.
Did it really say child sacrifice?
Yes,
Wow, that's crazy. I'd have to see that.
yeah,
But it doesn't surprise me to think that the elites have a little ring to basically be like, hey, if you don't play ball with us, you can't elevate to this level of finance or business success or whatever the case might have been. Like it's kind of one of those situations where if you're not in the circle, you can't
You just
elevate
get
to a certain
blackballed.
level. Yeah. And it's just
hmm
like it's either you be wrong or bad with us, or you can't be in the club type deal. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. And we do need to say, just for kicks and giggles, disclaimer: we will be talking about things that are pretty freaking sensitive. So,
yeah,
if you are listening, please know that we will be talking about things that are pretty freaking sensitive. They're all out there. You can read it, but it is disturbing, and I don't know. I just it's hard to grasp the level of debauchery being um, that is being seen. I don't really know how else to say that.
yeah.
So
I mean, dude, there's so many things that's come out. I mean, we have they're redacted, thankfully. By the grace of God, they're redacted. But there's literal pictures of Epstein with kids naked, like with all these kids like tied up. Um, dude, it's sick. And a lot of our, I don't know how you feel about Nicki Minaj, Rodney, but Nicki Minaj to me is someone who's standing up against those heavy hitters. Because literally,
In what way?
Beyonce, huh?
What way would you say she's standing up against him? Because she seemed to be in alignment to me.
In alignment.
Yeah, she act like she wants to be with him or something, like she wants to be accepted. Yeah. But
I mean,
I'm listening to you because that's just my perception of her, and I'm curious to see why you said what you said.
nah, because I mean, her Twitter, like she's the one who came out after the Grammys and called out all the people, uh, Hove, Beyonce. She called them all out,
Mm.
and literally they're in the Epstein files. Like you could go and search in keyword by keywords. You could type a name, and you could find where they've been put in the name in the email list.
Yeah. Now, what I would be curious about, because of course, if people are billionaires and they talk amongst other billionaires, I'm like, okay, what was the context of the conversation? Because I'm like, just because the name pops up doesn't necessarily mean they were doing anything. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about context then.
Yeah.
Because here's an email. Here's an email. Now this person is the person that Jeffrey was talking to. His name is redacted on this email, so I don't know who the frick we're talking to. But he said he said subject line was redacted, so we don't know what this girl's name was. But it said this girl said that she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed. She knows that Jesus watches over her, and he helped save her life. And then period, some space, and then he said, whoops. And Jeffrey replies back to that, and he says, you should dress up as him when you see her. So clearly this individual is not talking about his wife, mistress. He doesn't come across as a mistress. That comes across as somebody that's like underage, or somebody that is like mentally handicapped almost. Because like I'm not gonna sit there and go, man, I just feel Jesus has saved my life, as I'm like hanging out with this random dude.
Saved your life from what though?
Exactly.
I mean,
like they're
another,
stuff, I'm like, what are they talking about?
because there's also another like they use like code words, and one of those words were jerky, I think.
Jerky. The whole Pizzagate stuff
pizza.
was legitimate.
Yeah, that
The
piece of,
Pizzagate stuff was legitimate.
I think they sent somebody into that shop to shoot it up too, that pizza place. A lot of people think they set that up to discredit the story.
yeah, because right now, what's happening is what I see is that we've been living in this bowl, that's been strategically managed, and so every little placement, every little thing we do in this bowl was a strategic move, and it was all told to us in this bowl. So in this bowl, because we keep hearing the same thing, we all just ended up, or some of us, all just ended up thinking along the same alignment. And what I mean by that is you have culture and then you have reality. And that's what I believe. Culture says, like, there's no way these celebrities, no way these people who are black and successful or whatever the case may be could have been influenced by any of these people to be demonic. Well, reality says people love money. People love the ease of life. People love opportunities. People will take opportunities if it gives them power, a sense of safety, uh, almost like what's the word? Like invincibility. And so we have been pushing all our favorite artists and supporting these people, and we still support them even after these files have been released. And to me,
Who
that's
is we?
crazy,
First of all,
huh?
I'm like,
Culture. So you
yeah.
have culture
Culture.
and then reality. I'm on the
Mhm.
reality side. Culture is everything that news sends out, posts, Instagram reels. That's culture. I'm talking about reading actual documents and things like that. That's reality. Um, and so with that, you have once again, Nicki Minaj is somebody who, because she stood with Trump because he stopped Christians from getting killed in Nigeria, which was a big thing. Like I knew about the Christians getting killed in Nigeria from Muslim, Islamic uh, terrorists or whatever.
I don't know about this, but I'm like, why were they getting killed, and how did he stop that?
Well,
I think she brought light to it. They were getting killed. It's the same thing as like the Christians in Turkey, was it a few years back? I think like Muslims were just going around and just slaughtering Christians in Nigeria, like by the thousands, as up to recently. And I think in January is when Hegseth basically got the go ahead to, I think, start to kill these active Muslims that were just obliterating Christians for no reason whatsoever.
yeah,
And
And
that's what I would question, because I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me for all of a sudden a random incident. Hey, there's Christians, we're Muslims, kill those folks. That don't sound right to me.
how does
why
that
I
not
not?
personally,
sound right?
Why didn't it sound right?
because why would they do that just for that?
Do you think Muslims live with Christians? Like can
It don't matter.
commingle? Can commingle with
Of
Christians
course
without?
they do. It's Muslim people in America.
Yeah, in America under real American law. If we were under
Christian
Sharia
society.
law, we would die. If you're a Christian, you die as if you don't honor Muhammad,
Pay jizya.
if you believe in Jesus, you die.
I've never heard this, so I'm just like, since I've never heard or seen it, I wouldn't necessarily just roll with it just off of that. I need some more proof besides just somebody said that.
Yeah.
Go check out. It's called jizya. This is in their doctrine, and this is where you when they so
How do you
it's
spell
part of
that,
their doc.
Dustin?
I think it Jizyah maybe. Um, but anyhow, it they go to spread Islam, it's acceptable within their hadiths to spread it by force, and so when they enter into an area, they implement jizya, which is a tax on people who do not convert, and if they don't pay the tax, historically they would kill them.
I just
And they
Yeah,
find that
that's
still
hard
what.
to believe
implement that in
that
these
goes on
countries.
today. And the reason I find it hard to believe that that goes on today is I see so much. I think the fear mongering, I think is the word, where they where a message is conveyed that matches what people think, or whatever negative thought that matches what they think, and they spread that information to maybe create an enemy or get people on a certain side or against a certain side. And so I just question that, because I've seen it happen so many times in different scenarios. I feel like they do that black versus white, red versus blue, men versus women. There's all these different scenarios where information is manipulated, spread a certain way, like I said, to either distract, create an enemy, weaken an alliance, whatever the case might be. So I'm just like, I question how real that is. You know?
So
Well,
this is, and that's why we
let's
have.
pull it up. Or Thomas probably got it.
Yeah, no, I've got it. No, you spelled it correctly, Jizyah, and so this is from the Goog. It's a historical tax levied on non-Muslim subjects known as Dhimmis, Dhimmis, living under Islamic rule, typically in exchange for protection, exemption from military service, and the right to practice their religion. It was a yearly per capita tax, primarily required of able-bodied free adult males. The purpose, it was intended to ensure security for non-Muslims such as Christians, Jews, and others, and signify their submission to the Muslim state's authority. Significance, it often represented a second-class status, dimitude, distinguishing taxpayers from Muslim citizens. And so now the part of like them killing them, I would like to find the truth to that one. I can understand it from things that I've seen and heard and read, prior. But let's see if we could find.
Yeah, I
A
feel
lot
like
of the
that would
Crusades
get
were about
more-
that.
I was just like, I feel like that would get more notoriety, because if you kind of think about stuff like when the Holocaust was going on, or racism in America and all that stuff, and I'm just like, you have all these different scenarios where something like that information spreads pretty wide and quickly, and there's maybe a video or something like that. I'm like, I haven't heard anything about that, so it's like I can't overly entertain it, because one, it doesn't make that much sense to me for that to be true in this day and age. Not to say it ain't, right? Because I don't know. But I'm just like, I feel like something like that would have been spread significantly more. And Christianity, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest religion in the world, or one of them. If not, it's got to be at least the top three if it ain't number one. And I'm just like, that kind of information, I feel like that would have got spread way more if that was a true thing happening.
Well, it has been
So,
the church.
Well, so let's look at the Holocaust. Like, you have to understand, there is a blackout on news in these totalitarian areas. The people, the Germans that lived like hundreds of yards away from Auschwitz, didn't know what was going on in Auschwitz. They were just like, yeah, that's just where they house people. Like, when there's stories after stories of our troops making these citizens go into these concentration camps and look at the gas chambers and burn piles of just thousands of bones, because they were unaware of what was going on. And
I can respect that, and that's a good point. That's also a different day and age. We have the internet now. We have social media. There's a lot of ways that can get exposed. And
Well, there's
I'm just
two
like,
very famous guys. I would refer you to, if you question this. These guys live in America. One's name is Daniel Hikikachu, and the other one's name is
Hikachu.
It's an odd last name, but these guys, he had parents that were from Iran, but he's an Orthodox like Muslim, and a guy that he was on a podcast with. Both these guys openly stated to two Christians to their faces, because one of them had fled a Muslim country and converted. Both of these Muslims openly stated on the Patrick Bet David podcast that they would be openly fine with them being killed for apostasy. And it is within their religion to practice that. They said it, I mean, there's millions of views on it. They openly state it. They don't even deny it.
yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is we talk about how this information is so widely spread, but Rodney, like, I've seen the Nigeria stuff, and this is where, like, I think we could all agree the algorithm needs to change. Like, the algorithm knows what you want to click on. It knows what you want to see. It knows. And so my algorithm sits there and says, "Oh, he's he he tends to like care a little bit more about whatever's going on in Nigeria." However, my algorithm said that. And so for like 3 weeks, every time I logged on to Facebook, Instagram, freaking Google, and the news feed that's right there on the front, I would see Christians being killed in Nigeria. And the whole time that was going on, your algorithm, Rodney, said, "Nah, he doesn't need to see that."
Right.
So
no,
I agree.
It feeds you
I
what
agree with
you
you.
or what you look for. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. We live in the most information age ever. But the problem is that there's some little twerp up there freaking pulling the strings and trying to and giving you some information, giving me some information, Jacoby some information, Dustin some information, and so on and so forth. So they're trying to program our brains and how we're all supposed to think. And so then we can get on these conversations.
And I'm not even a conspiracy theory guy, but I'll just be like, I'm like, I 100% believe so many people get manipulated because, you know, in these arguments about Republican and Democrat and all this, that, and the third, I watch both sides intentionally because I want to see what everybody's saying. And I remember there was this lady posted something on Facebook that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt was incorrect. And I went and took the source, posted it in there, and it deleted it. And I say to her, I'm like, "Hey, did you delete my post?" She's like, "Why would I delete your post? You didn't post anything." And I tried it again, and it wouldn't let me do it. And to test it, I put it somewhere else, and it let it go through. And so the person I was doing that to, they had from what I could tell, a more Republican view on things, right? And I genuinely believe, and I have no proof of this besides what I experienced, I think that they hide things if they know that this is what fits the algorithm of that person and this does not. They hide it, right? So they can't see the other side and feed them what they already think. Because I was just like, why did that? Now, when I started changing the wording intentionally to spread it out, so I was just like, is this really happening right now? So I said something else, and I took a screenshot of something, posted that, and changed the wording to not make it get caught, maybe, or whatever. What I think I'm doing anyway, right? And that one posted, but the one that was blatant, it didn't. So I was just like, there's definitely manipulation going on.
That's freaking annoying.
Oh, for sure. You got to seek the information out for yourself, man. And the older I'm getting, man, the more I'm having to unwind stuff that I thought was true just because my parents told me, my grandparents told me, but they got told too. They didn't seek that information out for themselves either. And it's not that they didn't have good intentions behind a lot of it. They just didn't know. But you know, if you let the algorithm feed you your news, I'm telling you right now, you're not getting real news. Just if you get it on the face value off of any social media, man, you got to find good sources, man. There's some very good sources. On YouTube, on like Twitter and stuff. There's some really good like self-journalists that read into, for instance, this Epstein stuff, man. This stuff transcends Republican or Democrat because they're all caught up in it. Every one of them, and they're using our tax dollars to justify this crap, man.
But you know what has to happen? Is people have to have the mind to cross-reference and, like I said, look at every angle, because they're one of my favorite
discernment.
Quotes. Yeah, well, one of my favorite quotes says, "A man that knows only one side knows very little." And what most people do is when they get a piece of information, as long as it matches what they think, their investigation goes no further.
Confirmation bias.
Right, exactly. And so people have to have kind of like what I did earlier when you guys said, "Hey, this is what happened over there." I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's false. I don't know. But my instinct isn't to just believe it just because it was said. I'm like, well, I'm going to need to see some stuff before I know or have the belief that this is correct, just because I recognize that there's manipulation in the market or in social media, and you guys very well could have been absolutely correct, and I'm just unknowing, but
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna,
Well,
you know.
I don't. I was talking to my wife. We've been talking a lot about this stuff lately, man. About whether we even would like to even vote again and all that stuff, because the level of this crap being released, man, is just above everything. There was everybody was caught up in this. Everybody was caught up in this.
Yeah.
So this is where worldviews, you gotta have like foundations behind you. That's why atheism it just don't even make sense. You ain't got nothing. So you got these competing worldviews, fleeing other countries, coming into civilized countries, and then you have these billionaire bankers who are transhumanists. They're trying to live forever, and that's what they're talking about in these emails, man. Drinking baby's blood for adrenochrome and all this shit, man. Like, yeah, I mean, wild stuff, and it sounded like conspiracy when Alex Jones was saying it 8-10 years ago, but now it's confirmed, man. It's confirmed. That dude's vindicated now, man. And that's not even the accusations, because those, a lot of those can be faulty, because anybody could have called in to the FBI. But the personal emails back and forth where they're talking about drinking blood and stuff, bro. You got demon worshippers running the world.
Wait, say Ronnie?
I can't believe they were stupid enough to email that crap. Like, you idiot.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, come on, dude.
I
Like,
know,
at least
man.
put that on like 4chan. Like, golly, makes no sense.
That's the ego, though, bro. That's the human ego right there.
I'm like, that's the type of stuff you only talk about in person, where there's nothing being recorded. These fools emailing that junk. I'm like, you really thought nobody was ever going to see this junk?
You're muted, Jacoby.
You've been talking to
my fault. Yeah, I mean, Epstein. I need to confirm this, but I mean, basically, Epstein is a Jew, so he's a Jewish guy. Jewish people run Google. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just giving my thoughts, right?
He worked for the Rothschilds too.
Yeah, like it's so many connections to where he probably was like, man, it's Google. I'm safe. Like, they not gonna beat this. Like, they're Jewish.
I would go further.
Yeah.
I would go further to say it's not about Jewish. It's about the fact that he had dirt on all the important people, and so
he had it on
sat
Clinton
there and said, yeah, anybody. Like, he had the dirt. Freaking 3.5 million emails, and you don't even have the rest of it yet. He had the dirt on everybody that could throw him under the bus. So it's like, I'm kind of safe, because mutual assured destruction, basically. If they freaking rat me out, I'm gonna rat them out.
Yeah, but how about him and all those other Jewish bankers going back and forth and talking about all us, calling us
The
goyim,
that just makes it,
yeah, man. I mean, oh man, but they're our friends. Man, they're our friends. No, they ain't, man. We've been telling y'all. Been
that
trying
makes
to
it
tell
even
y'all.
more unbelievable that his suicide was not a suicide. I doubt wholeheartedly that he did that himself. Somebody killed that man so he couldn't talk.
Man.
Oh, he's probably not even dead.
I don't think he's dead.
Somebody took him out, man.
Right, because just like y'all said, he had all this stuff on everybody. And if he flips on everybody in court under oath, it's a lot of people gonna go down. And so they're just like, we're not gonna take that. We got to get rid of this dude. That's no different than we see this junk on TV shows and drug cartel crap where they had to take out the informant so that they couldn't snitch on him. They got somebody in jail to do it, and it might have been a security guard or some far. It probably wasn't even nobody actually there that was
True.
prisoner, But I
they,
don't think
what's his face? Mug Club. Dadgummit. I can't remember his freaking name. Yeah, Steven Crowder. So back in 2019, after Epstein killed himself, Steven Crowder and his crew, they built a mock cell like that fit every dimension of what Epstein's cell was, and they mimicked like trying to hang yourself, and they couldn't do it. Like it was impossible. And they also make the sheets in these cells where they rip. Like they can only hold like, I don't know, 50 pounds or whatever it is. Like it's almost, it's like impossible to hang yourself in these rooms. And they couldn't do it, and they had normal sheets. I guess they couldn't get their hands on rippable sheets. But yeah, I mean it's crazy to think that he didn't kill himself. I really don't know why he would kill himself, to be honest. Like, you have all this dirt on all these people. Like, in the back of your mind as a narcissist, I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I kind of want to watch the world burn.
Get away with it.
Or maybe he changed his turn to Christ.
He didn't kill himself, man.
Maybe he turned to Christ
Well,
because he
if
needs
he
to
turned
kill
to
himself.
Christ, then you would think he would definitely want to burn the world. Like, man, I want to get all these people in jail.
Well, we have the ability now, but Pam Bundy is so concerned about how good Trump is doing with the Nasdaq and Dow and the S&P 500.
I don't know why they're fumbling that so bad.
Or you mean how bad
She looked like a fool, bro. She looked like a fool.
She looks so dumb.
What'd you say, Rodney?
Fire her.
I'm trying to make sure I heard correctly what you said. What did you say? Something about
Pam
they're
Bundy.
concerned with how good Trump is doing about something. What you said?
Yeah, Trump has done well with the economy as far as the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the Nasdaq. And so
You know I work in finance, right?
Yeah.
He is. That's not true, bro.
It is true.
My 401k would argue against you, my friend.
Yeah, it's true, Rodney.
So what happened to the market this last month?
To the market this last month? It went down. It went down because of gold and silver and like all these central banks are taking their money out of the U.S. economy, and they're putting money back into commodities. So
why would they do that?
Because they want to basically weaken the U.S. dollar. But that's also what Trump wants
because
in order to make it better.
The U.S. dollar, or because the U.S. dollar is been shown to be weak now.
No, they want to weaken it. The U.S. dollar is built off of debt.
Right now. It's backed by petrodollar. It's a petrodollar. Every freaking country in the world has basically signed their life away that our dollar is backed by them buying our oil or buying oil, and it has to be bought via the U.S. dollar. And that was like BRICS. Their big issue, if BRICS was going to be able to really make their stronghold in the world, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I don't know if there was an actual K, maybe North Korea, I don't know. But those countries, if they actually were able to get done what they were going to do, they were moving the world away from the petrodollar being backed by the U.S. dollar, which would have absolutely just nuked our dollar. And so, we went from...
hasn't happened yet, so...
Thankfully.
So here's the thing. Y'all understand that the value of a currency is based on how many other countries are using it, right?
Yep.
Right. Just like the stock market is based on supply and demand, how many people own that stock outweighs the actual value of the company, right? You could have a whole bunch of people own a stock and the company ain't worth a damn. You can have very few people own the stock and it'll be low value, even though it's a great company. So it's supply and demand, how many people own it or how many people are using it. Currency works a very similar way. So my point in bringing that up is, again, I work in finance. I got a finance and economics degree. I got multiple financial licenses. I study this stuff all the time. I know what moves the market and what doesn't, right? And not to say none of what you guys said has any value with it. I'm not saying that. But what I'm talking about is when we talk about currency exchange and the value of the dollar, when these tariffs got put on all these other countries, that makes us do less trade with these other countries, which itself
Mm-mm.
devalues the dollar. So you think
Rodney,
that's incorrect?
there's been more trade. Trump did more trade in 2025 than Biden did in his 4 years. There's been more
That
deals
is definitely
done.
not true.
That is true. Yeah.
How?
Hey, all right.
Why
Look, if we're gonna say stuff on our show, we need to pull it up. So pull it up.
I'm
Yes,
pulling it
please.
up,
We're gonna
douchebag.
pull up. No, 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 no. I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I'm just saying that for
I know.
everybody.
I just wanted to say that to you.
Like, yeah. So, cause I love this conversation, but we kind of not backing up what we're saying with each other. We turn it into other people, and we don't want to be those people. We want to back up with facts.
Jacoby, you got to be like the Jamie dude. You gotta pull up the live facts.
Hey, Jamie, can you pull this up for me?
Yeah, pull that shit up, Jamie.
Well, it's kind of hard for me to see right now. It's been rough so far. I'm surprised I'm making it. So, oh, I ain't tell you. Yeah, I can't see right now. That's why I got on the glasses.
Yeah. Got popped in the eye.
Nah, man. I popped myself in the eye. I had the glove right here, and then somebody hit it, and I
So
had
I
the
just
glove
did a
like
little simple
right
Google
here.
search. This is not, it didn't give me all the information I wanted it to, but it said, all right, I'm gonna just read what I found. In 2025, U.S. business bankruptcy reached 6,500 in the third quarter alone, marking the highest level since mid 2014 and 15% increase over 2019 average. Highest inflation rate, high inflation rates, highest interest rates, inflation, and increased consumer pressure drove a 14% jump in corporate bankruptcies, exceeding 700 filing by November, with notable closures in retail and healthcare. Then it says total bankruptcies, 31,000 commercial bankruptcies filing occurred in 2025, which is a 5% increase. And I'm just saying, I'm like, when people say the economy is doing good, I'm just like this. I expected a very large boom in 2025 because I understand the trends in the market. And then when Trump started doing the tariffs, it he destroyed what, not to say the market went completely bad, right? Because it still stayed afloat, which is why he wanted those interest rates to go down, because that would have helped stimulate business. So I understand why he wanted that circumstance. But you have this situation where the tariffs caused businesses to fail, bro. There's no avoiding that fact. It's true. You
There,
can't, you know
I
what I'm
won't
saying?
disagree with you on that one, but we have to look at what Trump's trying to do. So right now, post World War II, what occurred? We all met at a convention, and I think in Maine. I forgot what it was called, but we all met and we all said, "Hey, let's have globalization. Let's all just trade with each other. That way, hey, let's if I have $1 million, $1 billion, whatever coming from you, and you're taking $1 billion of my money, and then we hate each other, well, that's going to suck for our economies because we're trading with each other. So it's kind of like a fail safe to just not start shooting each other again." And then the U.S. sat there and said, "Okay, cool, y'all do that. We will freaking protect the waterways from piracy and all that crap. Great. That's why we have the biggest fleet in the world by like 20-fold." And so all that took place,
And
and
Japan,
now
Japan said we'll be the cheapest currency. We'll be the cheapest bank in the world. 0% interest on your money.
But what's that got to do with
and
what he said?
yeah, what's that got to do?
Well, it has something to do with it because it's all a part of it. Every country had its own purpose. Japan had a purpose, and the reason why the economy is changing now is because Japan, who was supposed to be 0% interest, the easiest currency to get and convert into any other currency, has now become I think it's 4% interest rate, and it's never been over 0%. Like it's always been. Japan was supposed to be the central bank that everybody can go to as like a safety net. But now that's gone because of BRICS. They're forming against the U.S. dollar, like I said earlier, and if they can continue, which is a part of Trump's plan, which he said he wants to weaken the U.S. dollar because the U.S. dollar was built off of debt. We used to be on the gold standard. It
So
was attached to
help
the
me
gold standard.
understand what's the value of weakening the U.S. dollar.
Well, it changes everything. It's more responsibility on builders, people who are building things, than it is on consumers. Right now, it's a consumer country. Everybody wants something given to them. Nobody wants to go do anything. Nobody wants to be. There is no uh, innovative people. Like there's really not. It's just a whole bunch of consumers, and so because of that, that mentality is really bad for this country. Because we're not a country of consumers. We're a country of inventors, people who are business owners, such as yourself and myself. So
I'm
it's
still
supposed
trying to figure out what's the value in decreasing the dollar, the value of the dollar.
because it's based off of debt. So the
So he's
dollar,
trying to push it from being based off of debt to being based off of creation, is what you're saying.
yes.
So elaborate on that because I'm still not seeing the value. So if it decreases in value, what's the benefit?
So the U.S. dollar is no different than UK pebbles or whatever other currencies. It's the same.
Well, I
So
understand its value
so
is based on what we perceive it to be. I get that, but
Did
I'm
you call
asking
them pebbles?
I don't know.
what I'm
I
asking
could
you is
think.
you're saying that he wants the U.S. dollar to
Pound.
decrease in value, and I'm trying to understand what is the benefit of that happening.
Yeah. So that benefit ultimately gives people the opportunity to be creators, which gives more innovativeness to the country. People will continue to make more money. Stuff will be um, more
They won't
dedicated
make
to,
more money.
huh?
They won't make more money because if the dollar in our country decreases in value, buying things from other people costs more.
No, that's the point.
So here's
It
here's a
won't be from other
definition.
people. It'll be only U.S. people. So like Japan, like yen or whatever. Most of people in Japan are spending money on Japan things. It's a
Mm.
it's a circulating consumerism uh, country. U.S. we're because we're so
We buy,
we
buy.
buy. We're like the head of consumers in this world, and we buy
Mhm.
everything. Hey, we want to buy something from Germany. We want to buy something from here. So because we're buying everything from everybody else, we're not buying
So is your
anything from
logic
us.
that if our currency is less valued, that we'll stop being able to purchase from other people, and that will force us to have to create things ourselves, and then since our currency is low, people will purchase from us instead? Is that your logic?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that last part as far as other people purchasing stuff from us, but as far as the other, yes. So it is better for the economy to focus on creating things for American people, circulating that, buying stuff from each other, and working on building that. Because that's what other countries are doing to be better. Um, and ultimately, I would say the detriment to our mindset as American people is the fact that we are so stuck in consumerism and that we can't even,
Where do you think that consumerism comes from?
well, capitalism.
Exactly. So you take away the currency and the stuff drops and all that type of stuff. You think, or your logic is that we'll just do more capitalism with each other.
We
And I'm
will.
like, yeah. Don't get me wrong. If we have to do it, we have to do it. It's just a circumstance that doesn't mean people's quality of life is going to improve.
So
Well,
let's get here. This is what NPR says about this conversation. Trump is aiming to boost U.S. manufacturing, increase competitiveness, and shrink the trade deficit by weakening the U.S. dollar. As a lower value currency makes American exports cheaper for foreign customers. This strategy seeks to encourage foreign investment and support domestic industries, though it risks higher inflation and increased costs for imported goods. Boost exports. A weaker U.S. dollar makes U.S. made products more affordable and competitive in international markets. Reduce trade deficit. By making foreign goods more expensive, the policy aims to encourage buying domestic, narrowing the trade gap. Support domestic manufacturing. The goal is to stimulate reindustrialization and protect American jobs from foreign competition. Boost foreign
And
profits.
here's the thing.
You,
If you notice, I don't know if you caught it, Thomas. That's exactly what I said earlier, where I said, "Is that what y'all saying your logic was?" Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know if you caught it, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what I just said. And what
yeah.
I'm getting at is, I understand the logic behind it and its potential. I also understand that that doesn't mean people's quality of life is going to increase. It's just going to mean we have
I
more
don't.
people. You feel what I'm saying?
I don't
Because
think,
it's
I totally get what you're saying. I don't think it's going to increase overnight. I don't even think it's going to increase in the next year, which sucks to say
yeah.
because, shoot, I would like beef to be $4 a pound instead of $8 a pound, you
Right.
know. And
If I
so,
could, if
but
I could say this real quick, because I don't want to lose my
yeah,
point, but
no, go for it.
to what your point was, because the whole reason this just came up was because you mentioned that the economy is doing great, and I was like, and is it really? You know what I'm saying? So I'm
No,
just like,
there
we can't
certain
say.
sectors are doing great.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's like we can't say the economy is doing great and still have the conversation we just had, knowing that the intentions of the tariffs was to devalue the currency and make it so we stop trading with other countries so that we could bring businesses back. That requires an ugly stage for that to work out. And you can't
Hmm.
say that the economy is doing well if we're still in the ugly stage. Because don't get me wrong, I understand that logic and agree with that it can work long term over time, maybe 10
Hmm.
years from now, something like that. But we can't sit here and also say the economy is doing well in that ugly stage. You feel me? So when people be on this type of time when they're saying that the economy is doing great under Trump, eh, you can't say that and say that we're still doing this other stuff. You know, it's a contradiction. So I'm not saying the economy is doing bad completely, right? Not to say everything's bad, but I'm just like, bankruptcies was up last year at a higher rate than usual. Inflation was not as bad as during the time when they had the interest rates higher. But when interest rates are raised, the intentions are to lower inflation, right? Which is that causes a recession. So that recession in 2022 had more to do with the Feds having high interest rates with the intentions of combating inflation than it did who was in president. It didn't matter who's the president. That was going to happen anyway because it had to.
It
The
only
Fed had
matters
to
what
do that.
Jerome Powell
Oh,
thinks.
yeah, so it's just like that particular situation. It doesn't matter who's president or who's in charge. That had to happen if they were going to slow inflation. Otherwise, hyperinflation happens. The next thing you know, can't nobody afford nothing, and then it's just a big collapse
Nothing.
anyway.
Yeah, then you have a Weimar Republic. No, so no, I think we're on the same page. But to go back to what I was talking about with post World War II, is we built an entire economy based off of no country really valuing like building and growing and selling to itself. We built an
Yeah.
entire world based off of, hey, what can I do to create something and sell it overseas? That's what we built off of. And by doing that, it got rid of the slow degradation of the middle class, which is your mom and pops, because mom and pop isn't going to make something that's going to ship to Italy. Like they just don't have the ability to get that done. And so they have to sell to Johnson and Johnson, all the big corporations, because everything's owned by all like 5 or 6 corporations now, because they're the ones that can ship overseas. And so if we can, over time, again, it sucks because it has to take over time, because I do agree with you. We're in that period of things having to change. And I do think they have to change because that returns the power back to the people. Because right now, power is with the big corporation. And if we can get it back to, hey, it matters more if I can sell something across town than it matters for me to have to sell something to Brazil, then that right there alone empowers me
You
way
know
more.
what? With that being said, bro, more than what they're doing would have to happen is they'd have to break up these huge corporations. That's the bigger problem to me
And they're going to do it.
because
The banks.
that's the only way. Because it's not just the banks. You got to think, bro.
That's
How
who
many
owns
grocery
everything. The
stores?
banks.
But
That's
think
who
about
owns
this:
all
how
the
many
courts.
grocery stores are there really? Like name as many grocery stores as you can think of right now.
Kroger, Publix, Walmart, Target, uh, uh, Trader Joe's.
Is Target a grocery store? That's
Yeah,
a
Yeah, I
kinda.
mean they're not like a full service, but
It's
yeah,
like a
they're a
Dollar
grocery
General
store.
grocery store.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
an upper scale Dollar General,
Yeah.
But
Dollar
basically
General,
what I'm
Family
getting at,
Dollar.
yeah, I don't really count those as grocery stores for real because they don't have like to make it a grocery store, it's like you got to sell produce
Mm-hmm.
and like meat and milk and not
They
just
Yeah,
do.
your
I just
your
wouldn't.
super targets are
I,
that way.
You
I
don't want
wouldn't
to eat
eat
that
it.
meat.
right. But what I'm getting at is we probably can count on one hand 5 actual companies that are real grocery stores across the country. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Everybody, everywhere else, you might have these small mom and pop ones, but how do they compete against these big corporations that have already built these huge businesses, have the financial backing, the brand name, and all that type of little stuff? So it's just like it's always going to go back to the same hands unless they stop allowing these corporations to get so damn huge. Because a lot of
Yeah,
them
and that's
just like
the
Well,
the whole
who?
world is owned by a couple companies.
But who allows these corporations to get so huge?
The government, of course,
They're
they're
No.
supposed to disband.
they're
They're
above the
supposed to
law,
break up
man.
these things,
They're
but they
above
don't.
the law.
See, that's
They are untouchable, man. You're talking about like you talking about Epstein and all this. The Rothschilds came up over and over how him and how Robert Maxwell, his father-in-law, was an implant. He was an intelligence for Israel. All this stuff, man, and the Rothschilds, they work for the Rothschilds. They openly state this stuff in the emails. So these families have been around for centuries, man. They were here before there was a United States Constitution. They helped fund our first few wars, man. The World War One, World War Two. They put money in those as well, man. Like this is all well known, and so like those are the people that actually own everything. And so they're above the law. They're the ones that tell the politicians, hey, push this doctrine, get these people believing this crap, and they push ideologies because none of them are theists. They believe they are gods, and they openly state it. George Soros has stated that on camera.
yeah. I have seen that. But I mean, I
Well,
think
and so
the biggest fault it comes down to us. We once again we're a consumerist society, so these companies wouldn't be that big if they didn't have our money. We control the money. We the people, even in the Constitution, we supposed to control the government, and then we let that go because of time and I would say public school education, and I was a product of public school education.
And
I
private school education ain't no different. To be honest with you,
That's
there's
right.
plenty of
That's
people.
I
right.
agree.
There's
I agree.
plenty of people that went to public school that
Homeschool.
do better than folks that went to private. There's plenty of people that went to private that did worse than people that went to public. So
For
I'm like,
sure.
Yeah.
the
But
education system is definitely a problem though, because I would argue that they need us ignorant for them to benefit off of this crap.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
control what you kids get to learn. They tell them what to learn and what to think and not
They ain't
how to
teaching us
think, man.
shit how to handle real junk in life.
and that's
No,
why
that ain't. That's
I
right. That's
graduated with a
right.
1.7 GPA, and I got kicked out of class a bunch of times.
That's a
Why,
great flex, Kobe.
bro? I'll flex it till the day I die. Because here's the thing. I got a compliment, which was crazy. I wasn't looking for it, but somebody asked if I had a master's degree. I was like, dude, I ain't even go. I graduated with a 1.7. He was like, no way.
That's how
But,
Well,
dumb
man,
these colleges are now, man.
huh?
I said, what do you think made them assume you had a master's degree?
Because I think, and I don't allow other people to control my thinking. Like, I mean, I just research. I've always been a researcher. Like, even when I was in the company, I was studying, right? And so I just never stopped being a student. I will always
Yeah,
be a
he was
student.
studying, not selling.
Shut up. But here's the thing. I believe we hold a high responsibility, man, because we keep putting the blame on the government, but we vote for the people in the government. We didn't do our due diligence. So what are American people going to do to rectify what we've created? Because I get the whole victim thing. Like like we like, oh man, like the government doing this. But at some point, when do we, you know, do something like, or talk
Hold on,
about?
let me push back a little bit on you, Jacoby. But who won the election? Trump did. People voted it. People voted for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the people did vote for it, and I don't know how much about him because I don't know if they've tried to block his name yet or not. But like, man, there's plenty of politicians on both sides and plenty of corporate heads that fund these politicians that they're all caught up in this stuff. But the problem is we've still voted them in. They still go and don't do what they told us they're going to do. So like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Now here's the thing. Let me add some sauce to that because I'm like, there's two perspectives that you can think of with this. One is that yes, we need to be better and do better and vote better people into office. But the other side of that is what I talked about earlier is the education. We're too ignorant to know any better. Now, I am not, going to knock anybody who voted for Trump. That is what it is. But I didn't vote for him not just because I didn't like his character. The stuff that he was saying, again, I'm a finance and economics major, right? I knew that shit didn't work. I knew it was a lie. I knew that can't be done. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's because I had a
Well, he's
certain
still
level.
got a few years left, man. So I mean, let's let it air out
Well,
before
I'm
we
just
make
saying, I
that
just got to be
decision.
real
But
with you. I just got to say, because I didn't vote for him because I knew this, some of the stuff he was saying. I'm like, bro, that shit's not finna work. Like when he talked about, they're gonna build a wall and they're gonna make Mexico pay for it. I was like, bro, stop lying. But people believed it though. People believed it. That they genuinely believed that he's gonna do it. It's not possible to make them do that though.
Did he
And he's
tariff?
justifying it with saying, hey, there's a trade deficit. Well, that just means we don't buy shit from Mexico. Don't buy nothing from us. But it's not because we don't manufacture anything. It costs a lot to them, and they make more money doing stuff for us. It just is what it is. But I'm just like, he says stuff that is virtually impossible, but the people listening to him don't know it's virtually impossible. And so they go along with it. And when it can't be done or when it doesn't be done, they steal back and be like, well, that's just because, bro, it was impossible. What he said can't be done. It couldn't, like I remember he said something talking about he was going to get health care down 100%. I said, you do realize that means free, right? That basically means free. I'm like, folks don't know what the fuck that means.
I think
They,
healthcare is way over 100% right now
but 100.
from when it
But that's the
started.
point I'm making. Is people don't even know that saying something goes down 100% means it
Well,
goes down to
I'm
zero.
saying that wouldn't be free. That would be like,
No,
if
that's
it's
zero.
like
That's
inflated
zero.
at like 600% more than
No,
regular, it
no.
would be at like
Increase.
500% then.
Check this out. An increase of 100% is doubling it. We agree?
It depends on
I
what.
mean, if it goes from 100 to 200, yeah.
Wait.
Yeah,
That's
100 to 200,
100%
but
increase. An increase from. But I'm gonna make a point real quick. I just got to make it make sense. A 100% increase means it doubles. So if that
Oh,
is
yeah.
right, if that is true, a 100% decrease means it goes to zero.
Sure.
If he says, well, we're going to decrease it 200%, that means it's negative. It's less than zero. So not only is it free, we're getting something for accepting whatever it is they're giving. It's like
No,
that's
Ronnie, you just said if you double it,
What
it
if
goes to
it's at
200%, and if it
600%?
goes down 100%, it goes to zero. No, if it goes down 100% from
If
200%,
something
it
is
goes
already, so think
100%.
about this. So we're gonna do it again. If you got $1, a 10% increase would be
I
10
got a
cents.
dollar. I got $1.
Right. But hear me. A 10% increase would be 10 cents, correct, from
Yeah,
$1. So that
100% is
means
$2.
right. That makes it $2. So if we have $100 right now, I mean $1, and we have a 100% decrease, that's down to zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're at $2. You keep bringing up
No,
$2.
I just said we're at $100. So if whatever it is,
All right, so
whatever
are
it
we
is,
at $1 and then we go to $2, or are we at $1 and staying at $1?
it doesn't matter. If 100% decrease in anything is down to zero. It doesn't matter if it was $1 or $2.
No, because if we're
If you're at
at
600%
200%,
increase and you go down 100%, you would be dropping down to 500%.
Guys,
Wait, what?
If it's
I know you
inflated
don't-
that much,
I don't get the
if it's
500%.
inflated that much, if you're going from 0 and saying a 100% increase or 100 to 200,
That's
then you're
y'all
doubled.
proving my point.
But say healthcare, inflated from 1970 to now like 600%, and then he said he dropped it 100, that'd be 500.
I get
No,
what you're saying.
that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Y'all are proving my point that he said something that's impossible, and y'all don't realize that's not what that means. You feel what I'm saying?
Whether it's possible or not, that's not what we were talking about. We were just talking
Right,
about the
you're-
100%
what
wouldn't be
we're
that.
all
If it's at
arguing about right
600,
now
it would be at
is what
500.
math is. We're arguing about math, and what I'm trying to tell you is a 100% decrease in anything. It doesn't matter what it is. A 100% decrease goes down to zero.
All right, let me
Yeah,
put
but
my
if you're
two.
talking
let me
about
put-
economics and
I'm
percentages,
talking about math. Like
Let me
you
put
use
my 2
a
cents.
calculator.
Let
me
It's
put my 2
100
cents.
minus
Let me put my 2
600.
cents.
So he said
All you
something
guys,
that
are
you
any
didn't
of you
realize.
guys, are any of you
600
guys,
minus 100.
do any of you guys have a actual disease? Do you guys have any medical, like, or what do you call it, autoimmune disease? Raise your hand if you got an autoimmune disease.
you do. Okay, major point.
Okay, my point. So here's my point. I agree 100% with Trump because he came out with Trump RX and he got it down 90%, not 100%. But he's able to literally, basically with this Trump RX, you go trumprx.gov or it's .com. You can go to the website and basically everything that Obama was doing, which is basically I don't know if you still talk to Champ, Rodney, but Champ was somebody who was definitely on the terrible side of Obama healthcare, which was thousands of dollars a month for healthcare when he was only paying like 60 or 100 and something dollars a month, right? And so what Trump did to despite that was to honestly target the prescription drugs. So for somebody like me, my treatment, which I had to get twice a year, was $100,000 a pop. That's $200,000 a year. I don't make $200,000 a year. If I did make $200,000 a year, that's insane. To have to pay $200,000 a year for some medicine. Still, I had to do that with Obamacare. What Trump is doing is literally putting that money in my hands. So all these healthcare companies that receive and milk all millions and millions of dollars from these unhealthy people, that is now been sent in a check, in the form of a check for those people to make the decision to purchase the medicine that they feel is best for them, or the brand of medicine that they feel is best for them. Because these companies took, just like you said earlier, these corporations started taking over. Well, it's the same for healthcare. Like if you have one healthcare provider and they're the sole source of everything, dude, like everything is going to be hella expensive.
They set the prices.
So I get your point, and here's, I think there's something you don't recognize, but do you what's the difference between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act?
It's the
Nothing.
same thing.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yeah.
All right, because I was about to get on your ass if you didn't.
Nah.
So I'm glad you knew that part. So the fact that it says Affordable Care Act, they did a service where they tried to make, or they did make certain things more affordable that just what you just said is a circumstance where people with autoimmune disease, whatever the case is, can actually get some of these things that they wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. From my understanding, I haven't heard of Trump getting or creating anything that fixes or does better than that, because there hasn't been any changes. He's been talking about that for years. But to go back to the point I was talking about previously, just because I want you guys to realize you made my point where I said Trump will say something, the people that support him don't know that what he's saying is impossible. I Googled it just to make sure Rodney was not tripping. And I said, what is a 100% decrease? And then I found a question that says, can you have a 300% decrease? It says, no, you cannot have a true 300% decrease in any positive quantity, because a decrease in 100% means the value goes to zero, exactly like I just said. So my point I was saying earlier is Trump will say things that don't make sense or that are impossible, and the folks that are voting for them or riding with them don't realize he said some shit that don't make sense.
Rodney, is it possible to get a 140% contract in your company?
140? Yeah.
Is it possible to get a 120% contract in your company?
What's that got to do with anything? Yes.
Okay. So,
You're about to make
if
me
you,
look stupid in a second. Go ahead.
huh?
I don't know what point you finna make, but it's not finna. That has nothing to do with nothing. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying because what they're saying, like, I get where you're staying. You're staying 10 toes down on it, huh?
You don't know what I'm saying because you still like it's a mathematical equation that you don't realize it can't be done.
100% of
Explain it
something
to us
going
then.
down is zero. I got you, Rodney.
Yes. Thank you. And all I
Everybody
was
and their mama got you. But here's what I'm saying that they were trying to say. What they were trying to say was if you get 100% on $100, that's $200. You just doubled your money. But if I take that same 200% that I gain and I subtract 100% from it, I'm left with the original value. That's
what
what they
I'm
were
trying to
saying.
tell you
I'm
is
not
that
saying,
I know,
hold
but
on, hold on,
that's
hold on.
incorrect
I,
math.
I get you, but that's what they were saying. It's not.
I know what they were saying, and I'm saying that's just incorrect math.
I got you, but they were wanting you
You're
to
doing math
acknowledge it,
wrong.
but they acknowledge what you were saying.
Yeah, and I'm just saying I got what y'all are saying too. I'm just saying it's incorrect math. And this brings me back to what I was saying. The educational system fucking sucks.
So you're saying that? Wait, all right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think, from my own perspective, uh, I don't think you probably. I'm not gonna say you haven't, but it seemed to be that you don't have a lot of experience when it comes to the health stuff. And the only reason why I say that is
No.
because, yeah, the only reason why I say that is because, dude, I've been through the ringer with MS. Like I've been, man, I've seen talked to so many people, and what you just said was not true. The Affordable Care Act is a sham, bro. That's crap. Cap, straight cap. Like
What
it's
have you seen what happens to people who don't have it?
Because
yeah,
they're
me.
forced.
I
That was
live a
the
good
built-in
life and
thing.
a fit life because they
Huh?
told. Wait, what?
I'm sorry, y'all was
Go
talking at
ahead.
the same time.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacoby.
Yeah, I live a fit life. And so it came out, a study came out that says to combat MS is actually to work out. And that's what I've been doing. So luckily, I've been living a fit life. So that's what's saved me in the grace of God. But
Yeah.
but the thing is like when I was having to go there and take these infusions and stuff like that, dude, there was nothing out there. It literally wasn't. And
When
there
you
was
say it
no
was what was not when you say it was nothing out there, what is nothing? What wasn't out there?
nothing to help me with the expense that I had to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no the like there was my the company that gave me my medicine was Ocrevus. Ocrevus
Mm-hmm.
was the medicine. Ocrevus has a foundation to where they will help you with some of the costs. So instead of 100,000, it would be 50,000. And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're helping you. No, you're not. It's still 50,000 freaking
Oh yeah,
dollars.
no, don't get me wrong. I 100% understand that logic. You're basically saying that despite it, you still couldn't get what you needed, right?
No, no, no. Ocrevus is a company that has nothing to do with the healthcare system, other than the
Mhm.
fact that they are a prescription drug company. They make drugs. That's
Right.
it. So they are the owner of the company of the medicine that I had to take for twice a year, and they were the ones who were giving me the assistance, not the
Mhm.
government, not
Right.
Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Ocrevus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying. You just like, hey, it didn't do nothing for me. Well, guess what? It didn't do shit for me either. But I just didn't have nothing wrong. Now, what I will say is I don't know everything about that stuff, but what I do understand is it probably doesn't cover everything, right? But I also understand that for some people it was a saving grace, and for some people it wasn't. Now, to take it away completely to say, it doesn't need to be there, I want you to do some research on what circumstances existed before it and what positive changes happened after for whoever. Because I know everybody doesn't benefit from every policy, right? Like I said, I didn't get shit from it besides, well, the only thing I will say I did get is it added it if a person was in college, they could get on the parents' insurance longer or whatever. And I remember I had a torn labrum and I had to get surgery, and that was the reason I like. Otherwise, I'd have just had a torn labrum until I could afford to get my own shit. But fortunately, because of that extension, my dad was able to have me on his insurance, and I could, I got surgery. So I mean, it affected me from that sense. But I'm just like, it doesn't cover everything, but that doesn't mean it didn't serve a purpose for some people. So I'm just like, just do on your own time, look up for yourself and just see what was it like beforehand and what was it like for people after. Because from my understanding, the biggest complaint that I saw afterwards was that the healthy people didn't want to have to pay into this, because it was just like, to make this stuff affordable, more affordable for everybody, it was like, hey, I'm going to force the healthy people to pay into this even though they feel like they don't need it.
Well, in my
So that.
research, it was
Mhm.
those people were the people who weren't going to the hospitals all the time, the healthier people. They didn't want to pay into it, right? They weren't going to the doctors a lot. The unhealthy people were, which were low income people. Low income people were the biggest people who were going to doctors and hospitals and stuff like that for big uh, stuff, right? And so before that, me growing up with my mom, literally, uh, it wasn't cheap for her because of the financial circumstances. But compared to today, bro, it was cheap. It was cheap. And because we had options, she had options to go search. If she wanted United Healthcare, I go to United Healthcare. She wanted all kids, or she wanted Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like, it was more choices for her to go through than now. Now you just have United Healthcare or Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So how do you think we fix that problem?
Well, what
So
Trump is
I'm
doing,
glad you
which
asked
is
that.
giving,
Finish,
well,
Jacoby, because
yeah. So,
I don't think anybody's got the right answer. I do, though.
all right. Well, I'm gonna let Thomas go ahead and speak this one.
Look, we can argue prices and premiums all day. The thing that makes more sense to me is, I mean, Trump can do something nice. I'm very interested to see what Trump RX does do to
You
to
sound like a dinosaur so bad.
yeah, to prescription drug prices. I will say personally, I know I'm not personally from like me, but my family. Once Obamacare was enacted, it, family premiums did jump because they were forced to pay more for those that could not pay in. It just happened for everybody that way. And so
Way
whether
up.
you agree with that type of socialism or not, that's fine. But the main thing is that we live in a society where you are basically forced to have insurance. Would we all agree with that? To live in this society, you've got to have a form of insurance, whether it's car insurance, health insurance, whatever it is, you've got to have insurance. So on one end, we either have the government mandate insurance, car insurance, or you have societal mandated insurance, health insurance, to just focus and freaking live. And then the industry that supplies the mandated insurance is a for-profit industry. Make that make sense. You should not have benefits or basic needs that you have to function in society, and then for the government to look at the industry that provides that benefit and say, oh, guess what, dudes, y'all can make as much profit from these people as humanly possible if you want to. They need to make the insurance industry a non-profit industry. You cannot sit there and say, hey, you have to have 330 million people have to have this, and then hey, you get to make as much money off of them as you want to. That's a guarantee.
I agree with you. Now here's the issue: why don't they do that?
Because there's too many people in Congress that have their freaking pockets lined by these health insurance companies, by these car insurance companies.
A socialist thing to do, correct?
No. You can.
How would that be
socialist? Is to sit there. Socialist is what they're doing.
No, what I'm saying that is definitely a socialist thing right there, because it's for the benefit of the majority, and it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not the benefit of the majority.
It would benefit the majority if basically what you're saying.
The majority is benefiting now. The majority is benefiting now. The individual would benefit if they made the corporation not the corporation, if they made the industry that provides the benefit a nonprofit industry, because then you and I as an individual, we are like freaking heck yes, like now it's pure competition.
The majority of the people that's the majority of the people in the country.
But socialism looks at the collective of the government, and individualism is more capitalistic, and so we would be pushing that individual more so instead of the individual of the government or the people that work in the government. So it would be removing that centralized power, because right now it's centralized.
You're saying it's just make healthcare free, but not through the government.
Say it again.
So this basically sounds like making healthcare free, just not through the government.
No, I don't mind paying for a benefit, but what I don't want to do is for me to sit here and say, hey, we have to pay $300 for my family to have insurance this month, and then I sit there and I see the heads of these corporations have to go in front of Congress, and then Congress sits there and asks them, hey, Mr. Head of the corporation, what was your bonus this year? And he goes, $30 million. And I'm like, mother trucker, why did you get a $30 million bonus? Like, I'm sitting here having to struggle paying.
Yeah.
You got to think about
real quick. So Thomas, what you were saying, Thomas, man, that was I agree, because like, I mean that what they were pushing for a socialist state eventually. That's what they ultimately want. The people pushing these politicians want that socialist state. So policies like Obamacare and all that comes in, and it starts to look more and more like government control. Government starts to own the means of production. So check this out. From 2000 to 2024, average U.S. family health insurance rose roughly 300%, from $6,000 premium per year in 2000 to over $25,000 in 2024-2025. That's a 300% increase. So if he were to decrease at 100%, if he were to decrease that by 100%, that would put it to 200%.
That's not how math works, bro.
All right. We're done with that conversation. We're done. We're not going back. We're not going back to that. We're not going back to that.
Oh
my God.
But to go to a different point.
But it's socialist though. It's socialist though. It's
right,
the government trying to control what we do, what we buy.
I think that the issue is people demonize capitalism and they demonize socialism, but they need both. A functional country needs both. You can't have one and not the other because both result in
I
slavery
disagree.
if
Well,
unchecked.
here's my. I
I
had this
disagree.
conversation with Coach
Hold
Bob.
on. I want to hear
Honestly,
this.
so
So you think it should be capitalism only?
no, 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 no. I said capitalism and socialism. So
You need both
socialism
to
is more
exist.
so like I don't know if you had this conversation with him, Dustin, with Coach Bob, but he had a good point. Socialism is like at home. Like at home, I'm a socialist. Like everything at home is mine. Like I want everything to be uh the best for me at home. And then outside of that is like capitalism. So I think it does intertwine. Uh, I just think as a government, it's not good. Socialism is not good. That means you making
It's
twenty
never
two
What
worked.
thousand.
does socialism mean to
Ho-
y'all? Give me y'all's definition
that
of
means you
socialism.
making $22,000 last or this month, like you said earlier. That means that uh, you're honestly not worth it. Like that means you didn't work hard for it. You was just
All
given
right, look, can I
twenty two
jump in real
thousand
quick,
dollars.
Jacoby? Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
All right, so it means government owns the means of production, and it ultimately goes all the way to like totalitarian communism. So basically, if we're in a full socialist state right now, it don't matter if you worked 80 hours this week, Jacoby worked 30, I worked 40, and Thomas worked 10. We
Right.
all get the same amount.
Which
And
that's
that's
the
because
issue,
the
right?
government controls. And so that's what
Correct. Correct.
socialism always leads to, though. The problem is
That's if
the
it's
second
all
you start
socialism, right?
allowing,
You're
but the
saying if it's
problem
nothing
is
but
the second
socialism,
you
correct?
start yeah, but the problem is that if you, with any time they started implementing small socialist policies, it always blows out of proportion. Look at San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Venezuela. Look at, I mean, every country that has tried it, literally every single one, has
Cuba.
went into a failed state. Went into a failed
Incorrect.
state.
But that's if it's
It's
all
not even.
socialism.
It's
Hold on, because I want to get to the next point that I want to ask Thomas to, because I asked what does socialism mean so we can make sure we're on the same page when we use the word. That's why I wanted to do first. All right. So before I get to that point, so to you, socialism means the government being in control, correct, Dustin?
government owning the means of production.
Is that the
Okay, cool.
definition?
So
Right? That's the
And
definition, right?
we can pull up the actual one so that way
and it
we're
may
mean,
not
it's
be.
like
pretty
I'm
much
just
the
misspeaking
asking what you
definition.
guys
definitions.
think the words mean, so that when we talk about it, we know what we're saying to each other. You feel me? So, Thomas,
Yeah,
what
for
does
sure, for
socialism mean
sure.
to you?
I mean, what basically what Dustin said, but yeah,
Okay.
if I am not in control of my ability to produce,
Correct.
that is
And
controlled by
Jacoby,
somebody
we're all on the
else.
same page. Because I agree that is what I'm
Yeah.
going to roll with that same definition. We're all in agreement that's what socialism is. Government controlling the means of production. They're the ones that do it. Correct. Okay, cool. We're on
That's
the same
exactly
page.
the definition.
Okay, cool. So
Nobody read
when
that.
I said when I said that you need both, capitalism unchecked usually results in corruption and slavery. Right?
How?
Now, socialism unchecked also results in corruption and slavery. That's why I said you can't have one by itself. They can never be one by itself. Now, I know you're shaking your head, Thomas, but I'm making make a point here. There are things that are needed and necessary for a country, state, city, whatever to function that is not profitable. And if something is not profitable, it won't usually exist, correct?
In a capitalist country, yes.
Correct, right. If it's all capitalism, if it doesn't make a profit, it will not exist. Not long term, it'll go away. So there are, and this is again my finance and economics degree talking right now. When these situations happen where where there's a need that is not profitable, guess what happens? The government comes in and fills that void, either gives some subsidies or it makes it so that something that's unprofitable but is needed by the majority can still get funded by it. So if you was to say everything is going to be nothing but capitalism and there's no socialism that exists, all that's going to happen is there's going to be no middle class. There's going to be the top people that control everything, and now it's just the people on the bottom. Ain't no middle class then. If it's all socialism, then you have what my boy Dustin was talking about, these failed places, because it don't work either. You can't have 100% of either. I will say I think you can have majority capitalism, right? But you can't have all capitalism. You can have
Well, I mean, it
some.
works as well as about as like a fire department, man. I mean, that's a socialist idea. But I mean, look, the post office can't even get stuff to you on time, man. That's a government
Right,
socialist
and
idea,
yeah,
man.
and that's where the
That's why
capitalism comes
UPS
in.
and
So
all these
Right.
other companies are started, and
Mhm.
the capitalism makes for way better companies because they can compete. But when the
And I'm not
government
saying that's
caps,
wrong. I'm just
when the
saying you
government
can't
controls it,
eliminate.
though, when
Right.
the
I'm not saying
government
that you're
controls it,
wrong,
though,
brother,
it
because
takes
you're right.
competition out.
Yeah, we need capitalism. We need competition. We need
Yeah.
innovation. We need there to be a reason for people to strive for something, which is profit, right? But
Yep.
if you don't have anything to fill some of these voids or give people a means outside of that, like I said, it turns into an eroded middle class and slavery. So that's
so
what I'm saying.
I would
You
Rodney.
argue
need
that's where
both.
more you're like more or less like where your values come in, because where people try and fill in stuff with socialism that the community and your church used to just naturally do, man. Like back in the day when people actually had values, there wasn't a need for a health center to go get treatment for young girls. You know why? Because they didn't sleep around. They waited till they got married with one man. The man stayed with them, didn't leave them, and you had an actual structure that was based on a standard outside of this. It was based on what God said, bro. So when
Mhm.
you don't have that, which is what our whole culture is based on now, get money about me, then guess
Right,
what? Everybody turns into it just turns into a me factory. So
right.
then it turns into,
That meat
oh, your
factory
truth
came
and my
from
truth. But guess
capitalism.
what? Your truth and my truth is absolute dog crap, man. It's false. It's false. Let me tell you why. Because if
What's
you don't have
false?
a standard outside of me and you that says what's right and wrong, then it's just me and your opinion arguing back and forth. And that's what they teach in college now. It's called postmodernism. And so back in the day, like, historically in the West, we're a Christian nation, we always have been. And so you had value structures in your community that took care of most of what like this socialist crap claims to fix. They're creating fixes for problems that they also created. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's what it is, man. That's just what it is.
So I'm sorry if I missed the point. What was the short version? Like, what were you trying to get
Well,
at?
well, because and Thomas had made a good point a little while ago too, talking about like community in regards to socialism and capitalism and having both, right? But I would argue you don't even hardly need any socialism. You can just replace that with actual values, and those should also override all of it. That should be your starting point. Is worry about your home first and then go out into the world and try and fix the world. But if you try to sit there and fix the world's problems and your own house ain't even in order, that's just stupid, and you're a hypocrite for that. Not saying you,
So,
but people preach that crap now, man.
right,
It's
right.
just
Now
garbage.
to go back to what
Hold
you
up,
were
Rodney.
saying
Hold
about
up, Rodney. So
uh,
real quick, I got something for you, Rodney. So, ec- so I don't know if you guys studied this in college, but did y'all study Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman in college?
I don't know.
I'm talking about the economics,
No.
the finance and
I don't know.
economics. Okay, so Milton Friedman is a world-known economist, and then he's also Jewish. Just for our streamers or viewers,
Why
and
did
for
that matter?
Thomas, uh, and then also Thomas Sowell, who's a black man who's almost 98 today, who's one of the most renowned American economists, sought after American economists, and both of them are like the duo for economy. Like everybody seeks them as far as like economy advice. So my question to you is: have you ever like read into their opinions of people who have been like on big stages for the economy, like a world economy? Like, have you done any
I don't know who
research
that
on
is,
them
so
and
I can't say
understand
I
their?
have.
Okay.
I don't know because like I said, I don't recognize the name. So if I have studied it and I didn't know it, I don't know. And if
I
I
will say
haven't, I
this,
have.
Rodney. I think you would really enjoy listening to Thomas Sowell.
Hmm.
Like your desire to learn brain. I think you would really enjoy him.
Hmm. All right.
Friedman maybe
Sensitivity.
not so much, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
because one of the biggest things Thomas Sowell speaks against is socialism and communism, and
Hmm.
at first I was somebody who was definitely against. I don't know, like being a bully. I always viewed like capitalism almost like people are bullying people who don't have the capability, but that's not the case. Socialism is something that is meant for control. Capitalism is meant to give people freedom. That's the gist of everything. And I can send
Here's a
you a
question I have for you
documentary
guys.
after this too. That is an hour and a half long documentary with Milton Friedman going over literally the whole '70s, '60s, and the '70s, and the about the welfare. And there's a whole panel of economists uh, talking about the the reason why they feel like welfare is terrible.
all right. What's your question, Rodney?
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead, boss.
So my question to you guys is, what is the purpose of the government to you? Why does it exist?
So there's two answers to that. One, you have biblically. Biblically, the only purpose of the government is to reward good and to punish evil. That's it. That's the whole purpose of government biblically. Now,
Okay.
from a standpoint of being an American, you add in there to provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. Those are in our preamble, and then to get the frick out of our way. So ultimately, every line in our Constitution, every line in our amendments is a stopgap against the government. There is nothing in our Constitution or in our Bill of Rights that puts any type of stop on you or me in what we can do or should be able to do in this country. There's nothing in there about that. And so when government makes laws that says, I don't know, anything that sits there and puts any type of restriction upon you or me, that is by definition unconstitutional. Now,
Hmm.
you can sit there and you
So
could take that a little.
they shouldn't be putting me in prison if I murder anybody, huh?
Well, that's what I was just about to get to. Now, obviously, my constitutional right does not infringe upon your constitutional right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. So I can't go out there and shoot you, like, because then I'm stealing your ability to life. I
It's
can't go
like
out there and
math.
steal your money, huh?
It's like math. Like you can't cancel out the other one. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like I
saying?
Yeah,
can't.
our
We have to
constitution's
live.
based on moral law.
Yeah, you have to
Okay.
live inside
So
society together. So
my understanding is that the point of government is to enforce right and wrong, correct?
yeah, that biblically
Right.
from that standpoint.
And even from take biblically out of circumstances, it's still that because I just said, hey, I can murder somebody. You said, well, no, you can't do that. So who says I
Hmm.
can't? The government. So when my boy Dustin says
Well, hey,
socialism shouldn't exist at all, that's where I'm just like, nah, it has to exist somewhere because when you have capitalism, someone is not going to do the right thing by people.
Let me, Ryan. Let me ask you this. I wanted to ask you this earlier.
I would argue
Where do
murder
you
is
want to
not.
see socialism? Like, I want to know where you are. Like, I'm acceptable of socialism here. Like, where's that at?
Right,
And
right. So I'm okay with socialism from the stamp or the areas I'm okay with it is some of the stuff where we talk about law enforcement, right? Making sure people are not allowed to do wrong to other people. Another thing is regulations in business. As much as I am a businessman, I also understand there is a lot of corruption in business. And when
hmm
they say deregulate things, to make it easier to do business when every time regulation goes down, corruption goes up. And it's
Unfortunately,
because, yeah, so there has to be some type of restriction in order to, as much as we can, prevent people that are wanting to do wrong from doing wrong. And so if you take, so, and that is socialism.
I
Rodney, can I
disagree.
ask you a question?
It is, in fact, socialism because just you guys said the definition was the government has control over it, right?
So that
Rodney,
means
can I ask
every
you a
government
question?
is socialist. If we go with that
Hold
logic.
on. Ask
I
your
meant to
question.
say
Yes, I got a
socialism is,
point to you on
is the
that,
government
Rodney.
having control. Huh?
Rodney, real quick. So, whenever you just a minute ago you referred to murder, why in your worldview, why is murder actually wrong?
Because it's like, I wouldn't want to get murdered my damn self. First of all, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Okay, but that's
Retweet.
and I'm not trying to be like ugly or nothing, but that's ultimately just your opinion. Like, is there any other reason why I shouldn't murder you?
Yes, because that's one. I don't know. One, it's morally wrong, but I'm like, unless it's in self-defense, like as if I'm trying to kill you.
Well,
That's
hang
the
on. Well,
only.
you said it's morally wrong. What do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
Like that is not something a good person would just do to somebody.
Okay, and by good and moral, what do you mean? Like are you talking about that from a theistic worldview or an atheistic worldview?
Are you saying from as in God or not believing in God?
Right.
It doesn't matter. I think it's wrong either direction. It doesn't
It
matter if
does
you believe.
matter though. It does matter because if you don't have God as that standard, it's just your opinion.
If I didn't believe in God, I still would think murder was wrong.
So why does
Why?
African
That's fine. That's fine. But
Because I don't think that's
the
okay to do
standard
to
is the
somebody.
standard is what matters. And socialism doesn't hold any kind of standard to an objective standard. It puts the state as the objective standard. That's why in any time they've done it in the past, the first thing these socialist states do, they take away their freedom of religion. Because they take away that objective standard that people believe in, that lets them know what's right and what's wrong, and then they force the state into a socialist communist state to where murder and everything is just commonplace now because you've turned the state into a failed
Rome?
state.
So again, Dustin, I think where me and you have the conflict of thinking is when you say socialism, you're thinking that means everything. And I'm not saying everything. I'm saying there are areas that need to be governed and there are areas that need to be, catered to that.
But that's just a
Socialism
government.
itself is my point. Socialism itself is an idea that does not cooperate with a Christian or a theistic worldview. It never has. The people that promoted it were all
So
atheists or
should they get rid
transhumans.
of government altogether, correct? They should just get rid of
No.
government. Government should not
Just
exist.
talk, Thomas.
No.
But that is exactly what
Go
socialism
ahead, Thomas.
has.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Socialism is
So-
government being involved. The only way
No.
for socialism to completely disappear is for there to be no government.
No, so one government was instituted by God. We know that one. Again, biblically, the two things is to punish evil and reward good. So, Rodney, you said a little earlier. You said that socialism that I would accept would basically be like policing of our streets. I don't classify that as socialism. I
But
would
it is
classify
though.
that.
That's what I don't get. The roads being paved is socialism. Police.
Hold on, that's
exist-
roads being paved. That's
That
roads
is
being
socialism.
paved. That's not
They
policing
do
of the
shitty
street.
at that.
That's not, but Rodney,
It might
roads
be.
being paved.
What I'm
I
saying
would
is that
agree with.
the fact that it exists is in fact a form of socialism.
No, roads
And
being
y'all just
paved
don't
is
know
one
that.
thing. Roads being paved is one thing. Policing the streets is a totally different thing. I agree with you. Roads being paved is a form of socialism.
Regulation of businesses and stuff. That's all this is form of socialism. If the government is the one running it and they're the ones in charge, that's a form of socialism.
So that's getting back to a point that Dustin was making, and a point that our founding fathers made largely, and mainly John Adams. So he was our second president, and he's the one who fathered this quote. And he said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." And so our Constitution was made for people that cared about other people. Our Constitution was made for people that sat there and said, oh, if I'm going to sit there and be a business owner and I make $100 million this year in net profit, am I going to take $100 million in net profit and give my people no good pay raises or no good bonuses? No, I'm going to make sure my people are cared for and taken care of. And that way, one, they can live their lives and live them well, or two, they don't have to care about trying to find another job.
What happens if they don't do? What happens if the people who are running that business don't do that?
So that's where we're at. We live in a society built off of the Bible itself was the most referenced literary work of anything to build our Constitution. I think second only to the Magna Carta, and then the Magna Carta was built off of the Bible itself. So basically, it's twofold Bible. So we have a country that was built for people that had a moral code, at the very least, like 10 Commandments moral code. And I'm getting there. And so now we have a country built off of that, and we have the basis here, and then the people are all the way down here, because our moral code has dropped so far down. And so that's why we have such the issues that we have in our country, is because our country is supposed to be operating up here. The people are supposed to be here, but the people are all the way down here. And I think anybody we talk to would agree with us. Like, nobody wants to sit there and say, yeah, you know what, I got pretty low morals. Nobody's going to sit there and say that. I mean, you might have some atheists out there in the world that sit there and say that, and they have no problem doing it. But most everybody you go walk across, and I bet you sit there and ask anybody in town, like, hey, where's your moral code at? They're probably going to say, I got high morals. But a lot of people, the moment that like push comes to shove, when their morals are going to be questioned, they're probably going to pick themselves over caring for or helping other individuals most of the time, I would argue. Now, you're going to run across random people that's not going to be the case, and that's probably going to be the 30 or 40% of the people out there that, hey, still have a high moral code. And so the argument is that what we should be having is, how do we raise our moral standard back up to a place where we can all sit there and say, hey, we don't really need all this government regulation. Because I agree with you, Rodney. In an immoral society, you need somebody governing. Because in a moral society, then everybody's being governed by that moral code. But in an immoral society,
never in history ever had a completely moral society. It's never existed.
I mean, Rome was before they fell. America was before we got to. No, they were. Rome was founded on very, very, very religious principles. I mean, that's where we got.
You'll never have
pagan at first. They were pagans at first.
There's never in history. Again, there's never in history been a society where everybody is morally on the same page, or everybody.
Not everybody, no. Not everybody, but the majority. I think
the Bible says all have sinned.
Again, exactly. So again, in this circumstance where this business person, because this was my original question, you said that this business person should do this, that, and the third with this profit and help the other people. In the circumstance that they don't, what do we do?
In the circumstance that we don't, what do we do? Hopefully, prayerfully,
their business will suffer ultimately for it. I mean, like if you're talking about somebody from the starting up, if somebody starts up and then from the start just doesn't treat their employees right, I mean, they're not going to get very far like that. I mean,
that's where the free market comes into play.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Let me make this make sense.
But that's not socialism.
I mean, you got billionaires that treat people like shit and all like that. But
I'm gonna land the plane. Give me a second. So, we just talked about how you have this circumstance where you have the business owners, you want free market and all that type of stuff. There's a saying that says absolute power corrupts absolutely. meaning if there is nothing or anyone to stop you from doing wrong, eventually people do wrong. And if you have one company, or maybe it's, let's say 2 or 3, and they have nothing hindering them, they can always just come together and say, hey, we're all going to screw everybody and just make all this money and gain control. Hence why I said capitalism unchecked results in slavery. People in general,
but that's
overall,
socialism. That happens in socialism.
Yeah.
we just said how a company has free market and they go unchecked.
Dude,
you're forgetting.
America is the first time capitalism has ever been tried, and we're still going. 250 years strong now. In the past 100 years,
You could argue not strong, but yeah.
Socialism's been tried. What, Thomas? What do you think? Like 10 times? How many times has it
more
worked?
than that.
Tell me, what do you think my point is?
Zero times.
What do you think my point is?
I don't know your point.
Rodney?
Exactly. That's why we're arguing, because you don't get what I'm saying. So I'm just like,
Well, you're kind of all over the place.
Well, yeah, because you don't hear me. You don't get it.
No, Ronnie, I think I understand what you're saying.
Where the real thing is we're not on the same page about what words mean, and that's why me and you are kind of having a disconnect right there. Because I asked that question because I know that what you have your understanding, but I don't think you understand my point, and that's like I said, there's a disconnect. Because when you say the socialism doesn't work, I'm not saying by itself. I'm not saying socialism is the better way to go. I'm saying
provide an example, Rodney. Provide an example.
Right.
What would be a country that you could represent?
Or a company.
America.
Well, no, hold on.
No, country. I want country.
Continue using.
We're not socialists.
United States. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
We're not socialists. Just because we have a
I
few
know we're
things
not.
that
That's
have
what I'm trying
like
to tell
worked
you.
with socialism.
Listen, bro. That's what I'm saying. When you hear the word socialist, you think everything, everything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there is some socialism that is necessary. Socialism meaning there needs to be some form of intervention through the government
I would argue
for
it's
the
not.
benefit of the whole. And it's because if you only have capitalism and only free market, corruption is inevitable. Somebody has to check it. You can't.
I don't think checks though is socialism.
Huh?
This is my argument. I think I'm understanding what you're saying. I don't think the checks and balance from a governmental standpoint is socialism in America, at least, because at the end of the day, you and we are the government. What do you think I
mean when I say socialism, Thomas? What do you think that means when I say that?
I thought we all agreed on the same definition.
I thought we did too, but I still want to get an understanding on them first.
I'm thinking that you're saying if the government is doing anything, not just like government has centralized all power. I'm thinking that you're saying like if the government has its hands in anything, then that's a form of socialism in that area.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
So that's why I was saying for there to be no socialism, you have to eliminate government altogether, and I'm just like,
okay, so I disagree with that. I don't think that pardon me, I don't think that like if we the people have sat there and said, hey, we don't want monopolies, then and our elected representatives sit there and go, okay, well, let's put some stopgaps so that Walmart doesn't have the monopoly on every single good out there in the world, and then there's no capitalism.
That's the government.
But I don't see that. I don't see that as socialism.
You don't see it as that's what it is. That's what I'm saying.
It's not even socialism by definition, Rodney. It's not even socialism by definition.
Socialism would be if the government controls that means of production, and
say the definition, Tom.
I don't have the definition in front of me right now anymore.
We vote stuff into law, and our Constitution has allowance for our government to make decisions.
Here's the definition. Socialism is an economic and political system where the community or state owns and manages the means of production, factories, farms, raw materials, rather than private individuals. It aims to reduce inequality by ensuring wealth and resources are shared to meet everyone's needs, often featuring strong social safety nets, high taxes, and public services. And so, Rodney, we agree. I agree. We think we can all agree. Like anything that the government provides, whether it be like trash pickup, things like that.
It's
Like,
a
yeah, I think
form
that's
of
a.
socialism,
I think
correct?
that's a form of. I think that's a form of socialism. I
Right, and
argue.
that's all I'm
I
saying. I'm
argue
just
that
saying
that's not.
it's necessary to some of it to exist, not
I'm,
all. Like I'm saying,
I don't think that we need it.
90% needs to be capitalism, but socialism, there needs to be some because we're not, as a whole, the moral people that we hope everybody would be. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
so
but see, my
something
Why
argument
do you think
is
that
that.
is?
huh?
Why do you think that
Well,
is?
And also, socialism doesn't
It's
equate to
people are
law.
just people, bro. There's never gonna be
yeah,
a
it
time
does.
in history where folks ain't fucked up.
It
It
does.
just is what it is. Nobody's ever gonna always have the majority of people where everybody's just good. It's just not. It's just not gonna be the case. It's
We need
human
to
beings.
we need to move on, but I think Rodney, this is my final thought on this one. The reason why I think we don't need socialism is if you have the right stopgaps in place where monopolies cannot become a thing, which
Again, the people that would enforce the stopgaps is the government. So that's a form of socialism.
but see, all right, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on the fact that that's
No, you can do
socialism.
that
I don't
civilly
think
too.
It
They
is.
do
If
that
the
through
government
civil
is
suits.
involved,
They
then
do
they're
that
the
through
ones
civil
I don't
suits.
think
regulating
No,
and
they
making the
sue each
decisions.
other.
no, I don't.
Companies
I'm gonna
sue
have
each
to.
other
I'm
when they
gonna.
start capping.
So
Companies
here's the
take each
thing,
other
though,
in civil
is
suits.
the beautiful thing about capitalism is capitalists see a need, period, and capitalists feel that need. Would we all agree with that?
But it doesn't always get filled. That's the point.
I
And
think
when it
it
doesn't
doesn't
get
always get
filled,
filled because the government has stepped in over the last 100
no,
years.
no, no,
The
no, no.
government,
Some
we as a
stuff,
society have sat there and said, "Oh,
Yeah.
government will fix that,"
no,
or the
bro. Some
government in.
stuff because
Yep.
it can't make a
They
profit, it
they
won't
made
exist. But it might be a
people
necessary thing.
reliant
But it
on
doesn't make
them.
a profit.
There will become a time where that profit will be met, though. Yeah, how many?
No, it
I don't know off
won't.
the top
That's
of my
what I'm trying
head.
to.
Yeah, I
You
think
gotta
it
take
will
some
though.
economics classes, bro. Some things are
You gotta take
needed,
some
but will
economics
never make a
classes.
profit.
Man,
Some
We're
that's
just
an
gonna have to.
argument
things
from
are needed,
that's an
but will
argument
never
from
make a
authority,
profit, bro.
man.
Huh?
What,
What's that,
Rodney?
Dustin?
I said that's an argument from authority, man. Because you said yourself, schools ain't worth the crap, man.
Yeah, they ain't. They don't teach this shit. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's.
I mean, it don't matter even if a degree or not. I could find somebody with a degree that has the exact opposite opinion, so the degrees don't even matter.
Well, I would.
You see what I'm saying? It's a
it does make a
fallacious
difference.
argument.
No. Because here's the thing. Just because a person has a degree doesn't mean they know everything, right? But it does mean that they learned this particular field. And example, I don't know as much about the human body. Maybe the doctor knows way more about the human body than I will, and I don't even care to know that much because that's not what I'm interested in. But it's just the fact that they're the expert in that thing, right? And then you
Well,
have
says who
in
though?
economics, huh? Was that?
Because that's the problem. You can have two doctors and they disagree all the time. Look what happened during COVID.
That can be true. That can be true
So
as well. Yes.
you can't cite their credentials. That's what I'm
Yeah,
that's what
but
I'm
But
saying.
it
to
does
Rodney's
mean
It's a
they
point,
fallacy.
study. That does mean
to
they
Rodney's
study
point, they
the
have the
field more
foundation
than
they're
a
building
typical
from.
person. Huh?
To Rodney,
Who's that
your
talking?
point though, like education, they have a foundation they built from. Like you can sit there and find two doctors that are going to argue about the same thing or have two completely different points of view, but they're coming from the same foundation, and that matters. Like you have to have a form of education to build any type of argument, and so
Yeah, and when the government tries to mandate vaccines like they did in COVID, like a socialist government would try and do, how did that turn out?
Well, I don't agree
yeah,
with that either. Like I said, I'm not over here saying I want all socialism. Like I said there are certain
I
areas.
agree. I know
where
you're not saying that. This
yeah,
would be my only point though. With the only point I'm making with it is there is, if you can have any of it, you can only have the most minute amount of it, because it immediately starts
we
making
agree.
people rely on the government.
Right,
So
and that's
like
where we agree. Like I
community
said,
is
I only
way better. Community in like a church is a way better
I
resource to a
100% agree with you,
community
brother. Hey, that high five
than
on that, 'cause I'm right there
socialism.
with you.
That
All I
was
was
my only
saying
point,
is,
is because the
yeah,
problem is if you
bro,
give
like I
somebody
said,
an
we're pretty
inch,
much.
they'll start
I
taking
think
more and more and more.
right. I think we're for the most part on the same page. Only point I was
Yeah,
getting at
yeah, yeah.
is capitalism. Yes, we all agree is the better thing. The problem is the potential for corruption. I'm just saying government needs to be in place to help prevent some of that corruption. That's all.
Yeah, and
What
I
if
yeah,
they're
and I
corrupt
think,
Remove
though?
some of the
What if
flaws
they're
that maybe
corrupt?
capitalism.
but
Huh?
the government will be corrupt, and that's where the the final stopgap, and this is a really good segue, is what
Yeah,
keeps
that's
government, what gets government in check, and that is us voting. Period.
Hmm.
Like if we sit on the sidelines and we don't give a flip, then guess who stays in power? You have freaking Richard Shelby be a senator for 60 years or however long he was a senator. And all he cared about was bringing money back to his specific district. That's all he cared about. He would pass any spending bill, whatever, as long as he made sure that there was a bunch of money in that spending bill for his specific district. And that's what happens is when you just sit, and when people don't care to vote, when people don't care to really look at the people that are representing them. Are they do they care about the Constitution? Do they care about my Bill of Rights? Do they care about me over lining their own pockets? And what we
Do they
do
even
is we sit there.
understand politics?
Say what?
Do they even understand politics? That's where it goes back into the education stuff I was talking about before. We have a whole bunch of people that don't really understand this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, we need to vote. But if we don't get people, like, I hate that they took politics out of, like, what is it called? I think it was called civics or something. I don't remember.
Civics,
I don't
yeah.
remember. But yeah, they took politics out of school. We need
man.
to
That was
understand the
not
judicial
politics.
system, legislation system, all this type of stuff. We don't get taught that stuff. We don't get taught critical thinking. We don't get taught to learn how to compare and contrast. We don't get taught simple things like how to even research things correctly. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like that. Until that part is fixed, we're never actually gonna vote for the right people, because nobody's gonna be even remotely on the same page, because nobody understands the same thing. Just kind of like, that's why in our conversation I would ask, hey, what does that word mean to you? Or what does this
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I need to make sure that when I say this word, does that mean what you think it means? When you say a word, am I understanding what you're saying? You know what I'm saying? Because until we have an understanding, we have the word means the same thing to each other. Now we can, oh, that's what we were saying. You know what I'm saying? And that
Yep.
doesn't happen because we don't even understand mostly how to communicate with each other down there, most of the, in the country for real. And so I'm
No,
just
we
like, we
don't,
have,
because we're all in our little
yeah,
cocoons.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
I done seen it. There was this time I was on a conversation with one of my friends in the military. And he told me a little short story. I was like, all right. And he was just like, no, I'm for real. And I was like, all right. He was like, bro, you don't believe me? I was like, bro, I said, all right. Now, where he's from, I mean, you bullshitting. Shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm from, I mean, okay.
It sounds good.
So it's just a difference in location. He was in Louisiana. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't know what each other thinks. And that's what, like, sometimes folks be like, it's common sense. Common sense don't exist, because common sense means everybody agrees on this. You know what I mean? That don't exist, bro. Everybody came up in different ways. We got different environments. We read different things. And sometimes, bro, people's whole perception is just because of some information was this, and then it branched off this direction and branched off another direction. Both of them was true, but they're missing the other side. So all this bickering comes. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
all it was somebody had a different piece of information than the other person. And
and
both of them was right though, but both of them missing the other side of it.
and I
You
think we
you
should
know
end the show with that because what Rodney just said was big. The whole line of truth or whatever, or the whole line. What thing you just said? What's the line again?
No, I was just saying it can start off with one thing and it can branch off different
The
directions.
branch.
Both of them is true,
Yeah,
and both people will be arguing real hard because what they're both saying is true,
yeah,
but neither one of them have the other side.
yeah. I would say both of them are falsely convicted of their truth, and the only truth is
They're just
Jesus
missing a
Christ.
piece
No, I think
because
people
their part
stray
of it
away
is
from
true,
Jesus
but they
Christ.
don't know the other side of it.
Yeah, but I think people stray away from Jesus Christ and they try to find their own truth, and that's like it sounds like a joke, but I'm being dead serious. I think people, uh, Jesus was very well much of an example that was,
Very well much.
or I
Yeah,
can't,
no,
my fault.
it's 10:30 at night. I'll give you a break.
Yeah, and my eye hurts really bad, but yeah, so Jesus was an example like no other, and the people that try to live their lives like Jesus gets criticized, and that's biblical, and that's what we should expect as Christians who try to live our lives like Jesus did. But also on the flip side, you have the enemy. You have the enemy who is here to kill and destroy. Um, and you have the enemy who wants to take the knowledge and construe construe that knowledge or just manipulate that
Twist
knowledge.
it.
Yeah, twist it. Um, and that can be a generational thing. Just because we exist on this earth today, just because we are on this timeline right now, doesn't mean we know everything. It would be foolish for us to say that. But I think we can definitely say that based on patterns, we have been in a society that has been indoctrinated by either good, which would be Jesus, or bad, which would be Lucifer, the enemy. So I think that's something for us to continue to research if we disagree with that. But seek truth. Stop seeking the little clips. Stop seeking the almost like the pedestal or whatever. I got all the answer sway type thing. Like, just seek the truth, and then define the truth with what more truth, your Bible. um, and honestly, with me, I've been reading in Old Testament, and to me, this really relates to how our world is. Old Testament is so. I don't know why people say Old Testament is like not even relevant, but dude, Old Testament to me is like we're living
People
it.
don't
It's
know
just,
what they're talking about.
yeah. It's like we're
People
literally
don't.
living.
They don't read.
And so, but yeah, I would like to end on and with that. I think this conversation has been great. I'm thankful for Rodney joining us. I'm thankful for Dustin. I'm thankful for my white homie for life,
Why
Thomas.
you gotta make this so
You're the only one who
so
I call
annoying?
white, bro.
So annoying.
Uh, but yeah, guys, please put in the comments below if you agree with Rodney, if I could speak. If you agree with Rodney, post in the comments. Tell us what you agree with him on, and what you disagree with us on, and like let's help make this a real, true common ground show. Um, I know we had some little rough moments, but hey, we all men
Yeah, they
too,
were.
so it's gonna be
It's
that.
all good conversation, guys.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
I
all
am
good
thinking
conversation.
No, it
Yeah.
just nah, it's just for it's different for typical, but it was great. I love it.
They're supposed to debate.
And that's why you asking me on here so I can challenge the thinking, right?
Hey, oh, I'm pointing at the wrong way. Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for joining us today or tonight, and we will see y'all next Thursday.